For several years, I owned a charming property called Birchwood Estate, nestled in the serene countryside. My wife, Sarah, and I initially embraced the idea of listing our home on a vacation rental platform, hoping it would be a lucrative venture. The estate, with its sprawling gardens and picturesque views, quickly became a sought-after destination for travelers seeking a peaceful retreat. However, as the bookings increased, so did the demands. The excitement we once felt gave way to the stress of maintaining the property, managing bookings, and responding to guest inquiries. We had to hire cleaning services to ensure the house was spotless between stays, and often found ourselves juggling our day jobs with the responsibilities of running the estate. After a couple of years of smooth operations, we received a booking from a young couple who planned to stay for the weekend. As usual, I sent them the unlock code for the door via text message. Most of our interactions with guests were brief and limited to a few texts, informing us of their arrival and departure times. However, on this particular evening, as I was getting ready for bed, I received a text message from the young man staying at Birchwood Estate. The message was brief, stating that he would call me in a minute. I felt an uneasy sensation in the pit of my stomach, and when the phone rang, I answered with trepidation. The man on the other end of the line informed me that the water wasn't working in the house. I was surprised, as we had never encountered such an issue before. Apologizing profusely, I assured him that I would come by to check it out immediately. He was polite and agreed, so I grabbed my keys and headed to the estate. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed 2 cars parked outside. This struck me as odd, given that the booking was for a young couple. My mind raced with possibilities, but I pushed aside my concerns and approached the house. I knocked on the door before entering the code and stepping inside. The house was eerily silent, and I expected to find the guests waiting for me, but there was no sign of them. My primary concern was to check the main water valve in the basement, so I made my way downstairs. Everything appeared normal, with no signs of leaks or damage. I fiddled with the valve and heard water start rushing through the pipes again. It seemed the valve had been manually shut off. As I stood in the basement, a sense of unease settled over me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. I decided to leave and call the guests from the safety of my car. Just as I turned to head up the stairs, I heard the basement door creak open, followed by the sound of multiple footsteps descending. 3 men appeared at the bottom of the stairs. The man who spoke had the same voice as the one I had talked to on the phone, but all 3 were much older than the young couple I had expected. He asked if the water issue was resolved, and I assured him it was. My instinct was to remain calm and non-confrontational. As I walked past the 3rd man, I noticed a gun tucked into the back of his pants. Panic surged through me, and I quickened my pace up the stairs. The men didn't follow, but remained in the basement. I hurried out of the house and drove home, my heart pounding in my chest. When I got home, I woke Sarah and recounted the unsettling events. She urged me to contact the police, and I reluctantly agreed. I explained the situation to the dispatcher, emphasizing that the guests were not who they claimed to be and that something felt off. An officer arrived at the estate within 20 minutes and called me for the door code. After another 20 minutes, he reported that the house appeared empty, with no signs of anyone being there. The next day, we discovered that the credit card used for the booking was stolen, and several valuable items were missing from the house. In the weeks that followed, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. The whole situation with the water valve felt like a deliberate ploy to lure me to the house. I began to piece together a theory that the men had planned to rob me at gunpoint, but changed their minds for some unknown reason. Perhaps they intended to use the stolen card for a longer period, or maybe they were planning something more sinister. The thought of 3 dangerous men waiting for me in the basement, armed and prepared, sent chills down my spine. The experience left me and Sarah shaken, and we decided it was no longer safe to continue renting out Birchwood Estate. The stress and fear outweighed any potential financial benefits. We opted to put the house up for rent instead, seeking long-term tenants who could appreciate the beauty and tranquility of the estate without the constant turnover of vacationers. As I reflect on that fateful night, I can't help but feel grateful that I escaped unharmed. The encounter with those men served as a harsh reminder of the dangers that can lurk behind seemingly innocuous situations. While we had enjoyed our time running the vacation rental, It was time to move on and prioritize our safety and peace of mind. The shadows of Birchwood Estate now serve as a testament to the unexpected twists life can take and the importance of trusting one's instincts. Though the estate may have brought us stress and fear, it also taught us valuable lessons about resilience and the courage to make difficult decisions. It was last year when I decided to take a solo trip to the charming town of Maplewood, nestled in the heart of the countryside. Having rarely taken vacations before, and always with my family, this trip was my first chance to truly unwind and explore a new place on my own. While some might find the idea of traveling alone daunting, I relished the opportunity for solitude and self-discovery. I spent hours browsing both hotels and vacation rentals online, and to my surprise, the vacation rentals were not only more appealing but also more affordable. After some consideration, I chose a quaint cabin located a bit outside the town. It was small but cozy, with a well-equipped kitchen and a comfortable bedroom, exactly what I needed for my retreat. I arrived at Maplewood Cabin early on a Sunday morning, just as the first light of dawn began to paint the sky. The owner had texted me the door code, and I eagerly brought my belongings inside. The cabin exceeded my expectations, offering a warmth and charm that was a welcome contrast to the cramped apartment I shared with a roommate back home. After unpacking and settling in, I sank into the plush couch and turned on the TV, ready to relax after the 10-hour drive. The tranquility of the cabin soon lulled me to sleep. However, a few hours later, I woke up to find the TV still on and the time just past 10 p.m. Feeling thirsty, I decided to get a glass of water before heading to bed. As I moved from the living room to the kitchen, a sudden cold breeze brushed against me. I glanced to my right and was startled to see the front door wide open. My heart pounded as I stared at the door, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. I was certain I had closed and locked it when I arrived. I cautiously approached the door and closed it quietly, listening intently for any sounds that might indicate someone was inside. Despite my growing unease, I convinced myself to check each room, armed with a kitchen knife for protection. My search revealed no signs of an intruder, but the unsettling mystery of the open door left me on edge. I sent a text message to the cabin owner, explaining the situation and asking if anyone was supposed to visit. Although it was late, I hoped for a prompt response. After ensuring all doors were securely locked, I double-checked the house and, still feeling uneasy, finally went to bed. I was jolted awake by an unfamiliar sound outside my bedroom door. My heart raced as I listened intently, frozen in fear. The realization that someone was in the cabin sent chills down my spine. In that moment, I recalled that only the cabin owner and I had the door code, leading me to suspect him of some sinister intent. Drawing courage from this suspicion, I quietly reached for my phone on the nightstand to call the police. However, the sound of my movement seemed to alert the intruder, who swiftly ran towards the front of the cabin. The thought of someone standing just outside my bedroom door filled me with dread. I dialed 911, my hands trembling. During the agonizing wait for the police to arrive, no further sounds came from within the cabin. When the officers finally arrived, they conducted a thorough search but found no trace of the intruder. Relieved yet shaken, I decided to check into a hotel for the remainder of my vacation. The following morning, I contacted the cabin owner to explain what had transpired. To my surprise, he expressed genuine concern and refunded my stay. He provided evidence that he was not involved, revealing himself to be a kind and elderly gentleman. The realization that the intruder was a random stranger only intensified my unease. I couldn't fathom how someone had gained access to the cabin or why they had chosen to stalk me. The chilling thought of waking up to find the front door open now took on a new, more terrifying significance. The intruder had likely entered the cabin while I slept, and their intentions remained a haunting mystery. The experience left a lasting impact on me. The serenity I had hoped to find during my solo retreat was shattered by the intrusion. The thought of someone lurking in the darkness, watching me sleep, continued to haunt my thoughts. Despite the owner's reassurances, I couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability. As I reflect on that harrowing night at Maplewood Cabin, I am reminded of the importance of trusting one's instincts and taking precautions. The trip, meant to be a peaceful escape, turned into a lesson in resilience and awareness. I learned to appreciate the comfort of familiar surroundings, and the value of personal safety. Although I may never fully understand what happened that night, the experience has made me more cautious and vigilant. It also reinforced the idea that even in moments of fear, we have the strength to take action and protect ourselves. I may be hesitant to stay at a vacation rental alone again, but I am grateful for the lessons learned from that unsettling experience. Last year, I was on a journey to a serene countryside retreat, but due to the long drive, I decided to make a stopover at a cozy two-bedroom cabin named Pinewood Cabin. This stop was meant to be a brief rest before reaching my main vacation destination. The cabin, nestled on the outskirts of a quiet village, seemed perfect for a night's stay. When I arrived around 8 p.m., I found the place clean and welcoming, just as the pictures had shown. After a quick tour of the cabin to familiarize myself with the layout, I settled down on the couch, ready to unwind after the long drive. Exhausted, I began to drift off, but my peace was abruptly shattered by the doorbell ringing, jolting me awake. Confused and alarmed, I cautiously approached the front door. Being a young woman traveling alone, I was naturally wary of strangers, especially at night. From behind the door, I could hear two men whispering to each other. Without a safety lock, I kept the door shut and called out to them. "Hello? Hey, we're here for the Airbnb. Can you open the door?" One of the men called out. Not understanding what they meant, I replied loudly, explaining that I had the cabin booked for the night and they must be mistaken. The man insisted that they had also booked the place, which made me even more uneasy. I suggested they contact the owner to sort out the confusion. One pair of footsteps retreated from the door, but the other man continued to insist, asking me to open the door so we could discuss it. I was about to comply when a sudden intuition warned me to play it safe. I lied, saying my husband would come down to talk to them in a few minutes, hoping it would deter any ill intentions. The man outside didn't respond, and I didn't hear any more footsteps. My curiosity got the better of me, and I peered through a small window near the door. What I saw made my blood run cold. The man I'd been talking to was facing his car, but beyond him, a group of about 5 individuals stood further down the driveway, partially hidden. They all wore face coverings, and I sensed more people were on the other side of the house. Realizing I was likely dealing with a gang, I felt a wave of panic. I backed away from the door, trying to remain calm. I rushed to the bedroom to grab my phone and call the police. The sound of footsteps surrounding the cabin made me feel like prey encircled by predators. I locked myself in the bathroom and dialed 911, struggling to keep my voice steady. The operator advised me to stay quiet and assured me that a police unit was on its way. As I waited, the terrifying sound of wood bending and snapping echoed through the cabin. Tears streamed down my face as I tried to stifle my sobs. A group of people burst into the cabin, their footsteps and voices filling the space as they ransacked every room. One of them tried the bathroom door handle, but finding it locked, yelled to his accomplices before moving on. They continued their search, opening cabinets and rifling through my belongings. Just as I thought I couldn't endure the fear any longer, the distant sound of sirens became audible. The intruders scattered, fleeing the scene before the police arrived. When the officers finally entered the cabin, they found me trembling in the bathroom, my belongings scattered and my car's windows shattered. An officer stayed with me as I recounted the night's events. He informed me that the area had recently seen a rise in break-ins by organized groups targeting vacation rentals. Their primary motive appeared to be theft, not harm, which is likely why they left me unharmed in the bathroom. Despite knowing their intentions weren't to hurt me, the experience was deeply traumatizing. The thought of being surrounded by strangers with ill intentions left me anxious and wary of staying at vacation rentals alone in the future. The incident at Pinewood Cabin served as a stark reminder of the unpredictability of life. What was meant to be a peaceful stopover turned into a night of fear and uncertainty. While the police assured me that such incidents were rare, the encounter left a lasting impact on my sense of security. As I reflect on that night, I am grateful for the swift response of the police and for emerging from the ordeal unharmed. The experience has made me more cautious and aware of the potential risks when traveling alone. It also reinforced the importance of trusting one's instincts and taking precautions. Although the incident has left me hesitant to stay at vacation rentals alone, it has also taught me resilience and the importance of personal safety. I continue to travel, but with a heightened sense of awareness and preparedness, ensuring that my future journeys are both enjoyable and safe.